All right, thank you very much for joining us. Let's get started. So we're going to be talking about Toastmasters and the pathways, and I'll show you how to log in there. Once you become a member, which what happens is the club, VPM, and the treasurer have to get together. They're the ones that usually finalize your membership and log you with Toastmasters International, which we're going to have a look at. You will automatically get an email with your user and password. Clicking on obviously on the login button on there, you can log in with your ID number, which is your unique member number that they've given you. And I believe both Matts, you do have this member number. You have to put a 0 and then the numbers. And then the password obviously is something you've chosen, and you can obviously save that there. Once you've logged in, again, a little bit easier to work through than the Easy Speak program. It looks a bit more modern. It's a bit confusing. So I'll just cover some of the salient points here. The only tabs you really need to spend time on are as follows. The educational programs, which is where Basecamp is. And that's where your pathways, and we'll have a look at how to select a pathway or find one that's most suitable for you. Then the other one is resources. And then under resources, if you're new to Toastmasters and you think, oh, I'd love to absorb more information, I want to suck it up, really suck up that information, this is where you go. And to be fair, the ones that I would kind of look at would be the resource library. There's lots in there. There's even podcasts. Public speaking tips are really good as well. And also, like me, I love visual and I love to hear and immerse myself even more. And look at the video library there, which they have some, and they're always updated, by the way, some good ones. And I absolutely spend oodles of time on YouTube because there's some great speeches on there as well. But where we're going to focus today is on the educational programs. And this is where, when you're logging on, you're going to go to something called Basecamp. The first thing to do would be to click on Pathways, which are basically a group of 11 different paths that you can choose, and they're designated around the sort of your level of interest. So if some of you love humor, as I do, perhaps something you may want to implement in your presentation style, which I definitely think is more engaging, is having more humor and using techniques to do that. So let's have a look at that. If you want to select, you can click at the bottom here. I think you can all see that choose a path. And if you click on there, you'll see something called digital resources. That will already be selected. And if you're on here for the very first time, I would take an assessment. So yeah, I can continue. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the assessment, but there will be about a dozen questions that you will click through. You'll pick I think in each one you pick your favorite 3. So public speaking, that's a common one. I think we'll all pick that one, wouldn't we? If you're a coach or a mentor for somebody in your company, maybe the coaching is a good one to have. Perhaps, again, you've got leadership, negotiation. If you're in sales, you're a BDM or in some sort of sales role, I think negotiation is a really good one to have. And again, you can see all the others here as well. So you take that questionnaire, if we just click on the third one, hopefully it'll work. Yeah, I knew this. This is always going to happen, wasn't it? It's like working with children and internet. They never seem to just coordinate themselves. So you can take that quiz, or what you can do, you can click on here. Again, it's not working perfectly, but what you'll see here is all the 11 pathways. There are, as I say, 11. At the bottom here, you can see these are sort of masked out a little bit because I'm already working on those. The one I'd recommend if you're really unsure of the 11 to take, the safe ones are presentation mastery, because it covers a really broad level of speaking, public speaking and leadership. So it covers everything you probably want. If you are in some sort of sales role, as I am, I think persuasive influence is good. And you can see some of the others. So if you want, you can just go straight for it and select the pathway of your choice and take a punt. They're all pretty much the same, to be honest with you. Only differences is when you get to level 2 and probably level 3, they start to be more specific to the actual pathway that you've chosen. We're looking at engaging humor. Now, some people ask me, Craig, is this stand-up comedy? I mean, do I have to learn to do stand-up, and do I have to make people laugh? No, not at all. In fact, there's only one project of the 17 that you'll do, maybe 18, depending which pathway you do. There's only one of the projects that is much more about humor in here. And even then, it's not about making people laugh. It's about being light-hearted. It's about using humor in your presentation style. So don't get fazed by that one. And obviously, a lot of these speak for themselves. Leadership development and dynamic leadership are very similar. And be honest with you, I've only taken dynamic leadership, so I couldn't say whether one is better than the other. Whatever pathway you take, within 30 days you want to change, you can select another pathway. Matt, you had a question for me.
Yeah, you might have just answered it really, but can you do more than one pathway?
You can. The first pathway is free. It's part of your membership.
Yeah.
Part of that cost goes towards the contribution of this particular path, the first pathway you choose. If you choose a second pathway at the same time, so if you want to work your way through 2 or 3, each pathway you choose after the first is $20. It's not too bad. It's not a crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
I'm working on 2 because I'm a member of 3/4 other clubs. My recommendation is keep it simple. You're with one club, focus on one pathway, get that out of the way. And if you want to be more daring, you can always add at any time. You can always add a second or a third pathway. What you can do is you can select innovative planning. You're all planners suddenly. Craig has made you planners of either your company or within your particular chosen career. You click the particular pathway, you click on continue, and I'm really hoping it does work this time. And then you'll go to a cart-like system, like a shopping cart. You can see it says $20, but in all of your cases, you won't have a cart. It won't be a cost. It will be a zero amount. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. So if we go back to educational programs, once you've got your pathway, you will get an email from Toastmasters International. And this time, instead of going through all the process of choosing one, you want to access your base. You want to access Basecamp. Dorata is going to see Bays as her club, and you guys, most of you, will see Berkhamsted speakers. And actually, it doesn't really matter what's selected, but in your case, it'll just be one club. Click on Basecamp. So what I'm going to show you now is, imagine for the very first time you've chosen your pathway, you're going to give it 30 days, you're going to give it your all, and you're going to work on your very first project. Are you all with me? Yes, of course you are. Can't wait to find out what's going to happen next. So at this point, you're going to click on Paths and Learning. And then that will take you to your only one, in this case, pathway. I have 2. So let's imagine you've gone with presentation mastery. Just imagine that's the one you went with. And you think, Craig, that sounds like a sensible option. So if you're level 1, none of these will be ticked. And I'll just explain these very briefly for you. And again, you can ask questions as we go through at the end. The first project's really easy. That's the icebreaker. Once you've completed that, you could actually jump to any of these speech projects if you want. My recommendation for level 1, just work your way through sequentially. Is that right? Is that a word? Sequentially? If it is, great. If it isn't, I've just made up a new word. And you go through here and you'll just finish them off. So let's imagine you're joining for the very first time and you launch your icebreaker speech. The purpose of this isn't just for you to learn, it's also to register each project that you do. And why is that important? Is because you get credit for every project and every part level that you complete. So by using this effectively, yes, you will learn, but you'll also be able to get the rewards and get recognition for everything that you do. Now, when you look at this for the first time, you think, what on earth have I landed on? And there's a gazillion tabs you can click on here. I'm going to keep this really simple. All you need to do is click on access your skills before you speak. That's all you need to do. Very simple. Click on that. In my case, I've completed it because I've completed the project. And you literally, there's about 8 or 9 questions here. And all you need to do is click on between 1 and 5 based on what the question asks of you. By the way, there's no right or wrong answer here. I generally keep it between 2 and 4. So you go through all this, you click through that. And when you get to the very last one, there'll be a submit button. And that's it, you're ready to go. So let's, obviously I've already done mine, so it doesn't work that way. If you're new to Pathways, what you can do is there are some really good resources. And the only one you really need to worry about is your assignment. So each project has a set of objectives. So if you click on your assignment, it will just give you some little tips and areas that you really want to focus on. You can click on this and go to introduction, which is a lot more extensive, and it just explains about the particular project you're on. There is actually no objective in this in terms, it's all it is about speaking. You're not tasked with doing vocal variety, gestures, eye contact, tonality, humor, none of that's required. It's just purely to get you speaking. So this is a good opportunity for me to say to you, you do not have to prepare much for your icebreaker. You can talk about your work. You can talk about your background and your childhood, but it should encompass a story because it's something you already know and it's easy for you to remember. So it's good having you here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes if you've got any questions. Otherwise, we'll see you all very soon.
Right, see you Tuesday.
Thanks, everyone.